This is the installation guide for FHIR Agent Studio. FHIR Agent Studio is hosted on GitHub at this address. In the README, click on Quick Start. The prerequisites of the project is that you have Docker and Git installed on Windows. I'm going to copy these 3 commands. I'm going to clone the project into my projects folder. So now it's cloned and I've CD'd into the folder. Now I'm going to run docker compose up build. So this is copying over all of the code and data. And the project's now built. So there are a number of links to access the front end of the demo applications. This is running on port 42773. You can see here, this is the Cedar Valley Health clinical workspace. There's a demo tab here with all of the agents that have been built. We also have the studio. Studio is the generic application for building agents. We also have links to the patient portal, which is a patient-facing portal via a mobile application. Each agent is built in Studio. So we can take a look at one of these. So let's start with the Smart Patient Summary Generator. If I run this agent, we can see the content that this would generate. Here's the Build tab. The Build tab has a number of orchestration sequences. So we can see we have defined the capture inputs. Here we are reading the entities that have been highlighted or selected from the FHIR resources. And we have a number of structured queries, which are fetching conditions, labs, and encounters for that patient. And in the final 2 steps, we are sending that data off to a large language model, which is going to summarize the data that we've given it and to propose a draft action. And that's what we can see here. We can inspect the various stages in there. We can also look at activity. So if I click on one of the recent runs, we can see under the hood, here we have the base prompt, which is going to be given to the large language model. And then here's the base prompt with all of the patient data that we have appended to that base prompt. And then here's the raw LLM response that we get back. If I open up the management portal, this will just be using the default system_system sys username and password. If I go to the fast namespace and open the production up, you can see here that we have a generic production. This is where agents built in the studio are compiled into. So we have all of the different agents which are calling into the service. This goes through the agent orchestration layer, and this has access to the FHIR read and write back operations. It has access to a SQL database and also to a vector search database. And then the final step will be to go through the AI hub, which calls the LLM service. That LLM service is configured in the admin panel. So you can create your own AI connection. So for the demo, I've been using Grok, and embedded in the demo itself is actually a Grok key. It doesn't have much money on it, so you won't be able to do much with it beyond the demo itself. And once the budget runs out, I will be deleting that key. If I go back to the patient generator, you can see it here. I can skip the cached responses, so I'll tick that and run the agent again. And so this time, rather than using the cached responses, which makes the demo usable for most people looking at it, we are actually going off and calling the large language model in real time. So if I was to look at the messages, you'll see that call that I've just made. And here we have the smart patient summary trigger coming in. We have the FHIR read, which is requesting these entities for that patient. And we have the various SQL queries and responses. And then here we have the compilation of the completion that's going to go to the large language model, and then the response that comes back. And so within Studio, you can look at any of these agents that are in here. Some of them use the vector search as well. They're all explorable and they're all runnable. As well as looking at the agents through the Studio itself, you can go into the Cedar Valley Health clinical app. And so there are a number of areas within the app that you can navigate to. So we have a demo page purely just for the demo. We have work lists, a patient search view. We've got queues, trials. We can ask and triage in here. And so for the demo itself, we have 12 agents they're all built and all working. So I can, for instance, click on the Smart Patient Summary. It's going to give me an explanation of what the agent does. I can click through and see that summary. I can look at, for instance, the lab results explained. And again, that's going to click me through to the screen that's going to explain the results. All of these, again, are generated from a large language model and have been cached for the demo. In a production environment, most of these would already be pre-built anyway and pre-cached. We can also navigate to the AI hub for this, and we can look at the various evidence that's connected to those. We can look at the phone app. So we can see here that we have 4 tabs at the bottom. All of the content that you're seeing here is generated from a large language model. So we have a care plan for the patient. We have recent results for the patient, which are explained using a large language model so that the patient can understand what they mean. There was a support agent, which can help the patient to seek help in the community, budgeting support, um, education, those sorts of things. And then there's a symptoms checker where the patient can interact with an agent on the server. And so here the patient's existing conditions have created a conversation. It's asking if the patient has had various conditions, and then we see that the agent is telling the patient to seek emergency care right now, go to the nearest emergency department, or call 911. We can ask the language model to query the various data that we have stored. So there is a surprise me button on here. So if I click on that, we can run a query to see how many hypertension patients are there for each gender, show patients with triglycerides above 250. And you can see here that the SQL that is generated is um, targeted at the storage, the patient data storage. So this is a brief overview of the demo. Please download and run the demo and explore all of the different agents that are available. And that is the demo. Thank you very much.